Alright, so I got the seat risers ready to go. On the back of the new ones, there should be a sticker telling you what side they should go on. This one says right hand, which is the passenger side. But you can also tell one side is obviously thinner than the other, and you want the seat to sit flat. So the high side of the floor needs to be the small side of the pan, which is the floor pan slopes, or should slope, slightly towards the outside of the vehicle. So the thinner part should be towards the tunnel, and which it is. If I turn this around, you can see that the thin part would be the tunnel, because this one goes over here. This one says left hand, so that goes here. These 4 holes are for the bolts of the seat bracket. And you need to be able to access those from the other side, from the underside of the car. And I'll show you the seat bracket with these in place in a second. But on the floor pans themselves, there should be 4 holes that match the 4 holes in the seat risers. And those all have to line up when we put the pan in place. So I'm going to go get the bracket and show you how I'm going to line those up. Okay. So here is one of the brackets. As you can see, this is a rusted one from the seats. I can't fix it, it's rusted together. But you can see the studs come up from the bottom side of the seat, because this is the bracket B. Seat goes here, bolts come down, and you put a nut on this side to hold the bracket to this piece. So these go through the holes, and you'll need access to put the bolt on underneath, and that's what these holes are for. So I'm going to clean off the tape, clear out the holes, and then get ready to align the holes, these big holes with these holes. And I had all sorts of fancy methods that I was going to show to make a plumb bob and drop it down there, but the screw that I had planned to use is too big, and the more I thought about it, I thought of something easier I'm going to do instead, because I don't think these holes need to be terribly accurate, because the seat can only go so far in the space that it's in. It can't go too far, and these holes in the floor are pretty big, so I just got to get relatively close to the center, and I think I can just eyeball it. And this is left hand, and this is right hand. Okay, so we're going to set this down. Roughly over the holes, and let's take a screwdriver. Stick one in there. Stick one in there. And then I'll be right back. I'm going to look underneath and see how close I am and get back to you. Okay, let's see. There's my new line, and here's the old holes from where I drilled out the previous seat riser. I made it pretty close indeed. I'll probably fill these in first, and then, because I only want the one hole on the new metal, so I'll fill these in, sand this part down, and then there we go. Battery's getting dead, but the tail cone came back, welded up. They painted it for me because they had to clean it all off, all the grease off and stuff to do the welding. So it was just bare metal, and they didn't want it to rust. So they, after they were done welding, they put a coat of paint on it. It's the classic Ford blue engine color, engine enamel. Brand name escapes me for a minute. The can is around here somewhere. Okay, so we're gonna mark holes for spot welding these. So I'm gonna start with these short tabs first. Just kind of eyeball. That one's only big enough in one spot anyway.
That one doesn't need one. It just butts.
And we'll do that. Make a mirror on the other pan, or the riser. This one does have a larger flange. They're not the same.
It's fine.
Well. Neighbors. Around. And they don't have to be too terribly exact on those flanges. Okay. Now for the long flange, I'm going to eyeball one here and one here. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to line up and mark down here. And get T-square lined up with this point. I'm going to get a mark on here. I'm going to go to 9 inches there. Like so. So I got this side lined up with this first mark and lined up with this second mark. So now what I'm going to do is at the same angle, I'm going to go on the inch here and just kind of follow the line that way. Oh, don't move the...
I can only do so much.
And now we're making even spaced dots, and it doesn't really matter what the angle is or the distance between them is, because I'm not going to use them all. There, just like that. When I go to drill, I will drill the ones that look good. But I just get a mark out here to see how many. Probably skip every other one, but I'm gonna go ahead and do that off camera for the rest of the flanges. But so these are a mirror image of each other, pretty much. So once you get one all the way marked, you can just line up the mirrored images and just transfer them over. So you don't have to measure both of them. You just use the one to locate the mirror image of the other. Thirsty dog. Turn that around. Doesn't have to be terribly exact, but just to give you a kind of a guide of what you're going to be drilling. Okay. And I'll do these other two. That's it. Okay. So I drilled through all the holes, and I only have to deburr the side that's touching the floor pan. I'm not going to worry about these on this side because I'm just going to weld that all into a solid blob anyway. So you only have to do the underside where the two parts are going to touch, and then we're just going to put some welds in there. I got it pretty much lined up where my original marks were all the way around. I got a little bit of a tweaking on the body work to get it all the way down. There's a little bit of a gap here, but I can massage that in place on that side. I marked it really good so I knew which way around to do it while I was drilling all the holes and marking all the holes. So we marked it. Now we know which way it goes. So I want to get that done. It's really hard to see, but you can see the welder underneath there. I just moved it. Well, my shoes are black. You can't see them anyway. There we go. The holes line up still. So we're really good. It's easier to see off camera, but there we go. So you can see that. Ta-da. All right, got a few in here. Got some down on this end. I'm gonna massage this middle bit in, and then continue on along the edges of this one. I'm gonna finish that probably off camera because it's getting really hot, and do that one the same way, just a little bit at a time, filling in holes, tacking it down, making it solid. Then I'll clean that up, give it a touch up of paint, and then we're ready for the floor mat stuff. But you know, this weather's been so crazy. We had not winter, and we had almost spring, then we had super winter, and then we had rain, and now we're back to good weather again. So hopefully I can get back out here when it's not so freezing cold and the welds will actually hold, because they weren't doing that in the winter because it was just too cold. But I'm back at it. So sorry for the delay, but here we go. Let's see.